Hi Aries, welcome to your reading. If you're new to the channel, I do timeless readings, which means that whenever you find this video is whenever you're meant to hear the message within it. And in case you subscribe, I upload my new videos for Aries and Libra on Mondays. Also, for those of you guys who are interested, the deck that I'm using today is called the Wisdom Seekers Tarot. And as always, if you guys are interested in a personal reading, the information is in the description below. Now, sometimes the cards like to flip over in the deck. I do see them. However, I really only take the cards that jump out like these two have. So my goal here is to get you guys roughly 8 or 9 cards, and then we can get started on your overall energy for your reading. Alright, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to remind you guys that if the reading resonates or if you enjoy the video, the best way for me to know is by leaving a like or a comment. But your overall energy here is that of the Empress. Now, the Empress is a very strong energy to have here, right? So she symbolizes divine femininity. So I'm already getting that for some of you guys, you might be dealing with twin flame connections, especially since you have the Temperance here. But I feel that for some of you, you're definitely stepping into your sort of divine counterpart energy. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, if you're not entering your divine energy, and if you're like already there, then this energy is very much like having the eyes on the prize. I feel like a lot of you guys are entering twin flame unions and really wanting that kind of outcome. And that's why we have the Empress here as your overall energy. Like it all just kind of points back to this person who is your Empress. And for some of you, it might be a same-sex connection, but, you know, the labels of, like, the Empress and the Emperor don't really matter so much as, like, the understanding that they're counterparts. But we have here the Five of Cups. Now, the Five of Cups, I feel, is representative of some kind of energy from the past here, because the Five of Cups is disappointment. I do want to point out, though, that you know, this is a pip deck, so it doesn't have the illustration of the cups knocked over. But in usual tarot decks, the symbolism of the Five of Cups is that 3 of the cups are knocked over and you have 2 remaining. But I'm looking at this and it's all 5 of the cups are filled, right? So it almost feels as if you guys are exiting a period of emotional disappointment and that negative energy that's associated with the Five of Cups. And here with the Nine of Wands in reverse, the Nine of Wands is my Wounded Warrior card, right? So oftentimes when I see the Nine of Wands, I feel that there is some kind of healing that needs to take place. And it's very strange because when I saw the Nine of Wands in reverse, the first initial reaction that I had to it was, you're exiting this period of healing and you're being like, you're now in a position where you can move forward with your plans. But now that I'm sort of sitting around and really like taking in the energy of the Nine of Wands, it feels like for some of you it might be the opposite. It might be that you still have some healing left to do and you're not quite I don't want to say like confronting it, because that's not what I want to communicate, but it's like you guys are sort of taking a break almost, the healing process is very difficult, so I understand that sometimes it's just nice to get it off your mind and do something that's like fun and lighthearted, because sometimes it can be very serious and very difficult. But I feel like whatever it is, you're very aware of it, and it's sort of bogging you down in a way. So it's weird because there's like, I think that there might be this feeling of my healing is over, it's already done, but there's still some left. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that you guys are perhaps, like, maybe in the past you were a little bit immature when it came to your healing, and like, or not immature, but like very eager to be done with it. But now I feel like you guys have grown up and are in a completely different place from where you were when you started that part of your journey. So you acknowledge that healing is sort of a lifelong thing to do, and that having more healing to do isn't a bad thing. It just means that you have more healing to do, right? And I feel like that in itself was probably one of the big lessons that you had to learn, because moving into this energy here, we have the Six of Wands with the Temperance card. Now, I do want to point out that the Temperance card and the Hierophant represent Sagittarius and Taurus, respectively. And then we have the Empress here, which is another major arcana, who doesn't necessarily have an astrological sign attached to her, but she is ruled by Venus, which does rule Taurus again, as well as Libra. So for some of you guys, some of those signs might resonate. If it doesn't, that's not necessarily the end of the world. It's just extra confirmation if it does. But like I was saying, you have the Temperance here. Now the Temperance, to me, talks about balance in an interesting way. I mentioned Libra earlier, and with Libra, you tend to see balances, especially with the Justice card, that are 50-50, right? Equal this, equal that. But with the Temperance, we see proportions, right? Everything in moderation is the motto of the Temperance card. So I feel like you guys are in a position where, because like whenever I see the Temperance, I think sort of like a recipe, right? You don't put equal amounts of flour and equal amounts of, like, you don't put in a pound of flour, a pound of salt, a pound of yeast. They're in different proportions. And I feel like you're mastering this, because the Six of Wands is victory. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of that happiness energy. And this is going to bring forth a lot of happiness in your life. I feel like some of you guys may have had some issues with drinking in the past, and now that you're mastering the moderation of not over drinking, you're going to see this victory, and you're going to see this happiness come forth in your life. Now, moving here forth, the Three of Cups can sometimes talk about like third-party relationships or whatever, but I don't think that that's the energy that you guys are in currently. I feel like more than that, you guys are seeing the celebrations and the reunions that the Three of Cups has to offer, right? And to me, the Hierophant talks about traditions, right? And oftentimes, well, traditions and institutions, and oftentimes that can mean sort of commitment and marriage even for a lot of people. So I'm looking at this Three of Cups, and I'm thinking about the reunion portion, and I'm thinking back to this Empress energy, and it all feels kind of part of like the twin flame journey, right? So oftentimes what happens is you meet, and then you separate, and then you come back, simply because that's how the healing portion of it goes. And I feel like either you or your partner, especially if you're in a twin flame journey, wants to come forth with this commitment. But there's almost like this not coming forth for some of you. I don't know. It feels like the time is slowly approaching, is inching forth, and that might be putting a lot of you guys in a kind of mode of panic. Not in like a bad way, but like you have guests coming over and you really need to tidy up the house really quickly kind of energy, right? And I'm looking at this Princess of Swords and the Six of Cups in reverse. Now, the Page of Swords in reverse, which is the Princess of Swords, can be a little bit immature when it comes to communication. They tend to be a little bit on the pseudo-intellectual side, so they're kind of know-it-alls. They're not very emotionally mature. They're not really the best at even saying what they want to say. They might be a little bit manipulative, a little bit just like in that attitude of wanting to be right at all costs. But I feel like for another group of you, you might have a lack of communication because the Page of Swords refers to messages in general. So I feel like there's two kinds of energy here. There's the group where there is going to be communication, but it's going to be very difficult and sort of immature communication. And then there's the other side that has a lack of communication. But I feel like for both sides, you have the Six of Cups energy. And the Six of Cups, to me, talks about nostalgia. So the fact that it's in reverse almost leads me to believe that you guys, especially if it's someone that you've met in the past with the reunion card, like, you meet this person and their energy just feels completely different. Like, if you're trying to come in and have the same approach that you had last time, it's probably not going to work for the same reasons that it didn't work last time. And this might be you, actually, because we have the Nine of Wands here in reverse, so I feel like you guys have been really well. You guys have really been doing your homework when it comes to healing, and, you know, if you're coming back with the intention of beginning another relationship, or even just, like, a new relationship in general for a lot of you guys, like, you have the Empress, which is very powerful. You have the... Oh, I do want to point out that the Empress is Venus energy, right, which is an opposing energy to your sort of Mars energy, your Martian energy here, because your card is the Emperor. So there's that to keep in mind. But like I said, you have this powerful energy. You have the Six of Wands, which is more victory, and you have these sort of negative cards. Well, I should say really the Five of Cups, but like almost in like a positive spin. So the only thing that kind of worries me is this kind of weird energy here, but I don't think it's anything that you can't handle, and I don't think it's anything that's really going to, like, set your plans back. But that was your reading for this time around, Aries. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like or a comment, because personally, I really love to know if these readings resonate for you guys. But like I said before, I upload my new Aries videos on Mondays, and in the meantime, you guys are more than welcome to watch any of my other timeless readings that I have up on the channel. And with that being said, I hope to see you guys next time for your next reading.